Should you change your offer? We've currently been asking ourselves that same question, and our conclusion has been yes, we need to absolutely change our offer. I'm going to give you the framework on how we're thinking about why it's important that we do, and if we don't, how our business is going to just basically die a slow death. And maybe you're in that position too. So before we jump in, my name is Hunter. I've done 7 million top line in the last 5 years through fitness, both online and brick and mortar. And I bring you the lessons that I learned so that you don't have to make those mistakes. And what we're talking about today is your offer. Should you change your offer? Here are the 3 catalysts that kind of drove me to think and ask this question for ourselves. The first one was we went to Miami a month and a half ago. Going to see Jeremy Haynes for his Inner Circle Mastermind. And in his Mastermind talk, he spoke about, imagine you're Tarzan and you're grabbing one vine and you're swinging to the next vine. And that's almost an analogy for, stepping into a new identity, stepping into something new. And before you can step into something new, you got to let go of the old vine, right? You got to grab the new one and let the old one go. Whether it be identity, whether it also be an offer that may be in your business. He gave an example of an offer that he's killing because it was just hard. He felt stuck in the mud. It was too much for too little return. And in his testing, another offer popped up that showed signals of, this is like way less work and it's producing way more results. So he's moving his energy there. Now, sometimes we get our identities and who we are and all this stuff drawn up in our current offer. And it's maybe something we've been doing for a long time, so it's hard to step away from that. But that opened my mind to say, hey, maybe we need to think about our offer and grabbing the vine in front of us, aka the new offer, but also letting go of the old one. Okay, number 2 story was Cole Gordon came out with a great video just a couple days ago talking about offers and particularly about how markets mature over time, how when something is new, nobody really is as sophisticated. There's lots of curiosity and it's kind of like a wild, wild west. And then as time goes on, that market gets commoditized more and more. There's more people who come into that market who kind of do the same thing and they're not differentiating each other. And so it becomes more of a race to the bottom. And so in that type of environment in which for health and fitness, that's what we're in, especially online fitness, it becomes more and more important to differentiate yourself or to niche more. And I feel like we're just not as niche as we need to be. And we have some clear directions that we can go down into. And so that conversation that Cole talked about made me realize the environment we're in when it comes to online fitness. And then thirdly, back to Miami at the Inner Circle Mastermind, there's a guy named Cameron who did an amazing talk. And essentially he did some crazy stuff to buy a business. His business was going to go bankrupt. And on the very last weekend where they had to figure it out or they're just absolutely cooked, they completely redid an offer. Something that previously they didn't think they could do, but they had nothing to lose. So they said, let's do it. Let's figure it out. And they had been putting so much work in for months and months with very little results. This new offer literally grew their business beyond what it ever was so quickly. And so I guess all 3 of these stories really hit home with us because I could relate with so many things that were going on. 1, the market we're in, it is becoming more commoditized. Again, this is true for all markets. Number 2, I feel like it is easy to stay with what we've always been doing when there is clear need and greater help that can be on a more specialized route. We've been implementing so many tactics, how to improve our show rate, how to lower ad costs, how to get cheaper leads, how to get more qualified leads, how to improve our click-through rate, all these metrics we've been trying to get incremental improvements on. And while we've seen some improvements, it's just very, very slow. And I think those changes are not outrunning the fact that our market is becoming more sophisticated, more saturated, and we need to go the other direction. We need to become more niche. Now, when Cameron made his new offer before his business almost went bankrupt, he had also said that every little change that he'd made in that past year to try and save the business was just not making the changes that he wanted. But in those moments, he was practicing, he was getting better, he was spending so much time implementing these different strategies So he was just going against the grain, but he said when he went to rebuild this new offer, he had so much practice on improving those little metrics, even though they didn't amount to much in that moment, that he was so good at it on the new offer that the new offer came out and crushed, and he was able to get more out of it. So the offer was the foundation, but applying those little tactics on top of it wouldn't have been there if he hadn't been trying those incremental changes. So our offer, it is a general fitness offer, people who just struggle to be consistent, who need to adjust their mindset, who need to adjust their relationship with food. We're helping the average person become healthier. And, we do have specific demographic and all that, but it is the average sort of person who is very beginner. That is what everybody's doing. They call it one-on-one coaching, and everybody's doing that. We ran a beta on a new program that spoke to a very specific demographic, more the demographic that is consistent, the demographic that has had success in the past, but they just actually want to get absolutely shredded and look good in a bikini and look good in the mirror and all the above, and they're not afraid to do the work. Those people are actually tired of just seeing generic one-on-one programs that get them to maybe the last 15 or 10 pounds, but not getting them over the finish line to getting absolutely ripped. So we ran a program like that, and it killed with our market. Now, when I say killed, we were able to charge almost 3 times the price of our current program. Our show-up rates and our close rates were higher than normal, and the fulfillment from a coach's perspective has been way better. In fact, one of our coaches said, I could take 10 of these clients for one of my old clients. And so this offer obviously just makes more sense because there's more margin. It's better for literally every department. And so looking in reverse at that and then what we're currently doing, it's so obvious that we should shift our offer to that thing that was just what seemed easy. It just seemed so easy. And it's not like we made any changes to our process. We basically duplicated our processes that we currently have, put them into a new package, a new offer, speaking to a very specific and different person, and everything got so much better. And in the meantime, again, we've been trying to make little changes in all the micro metrics for our current offer, and it just doesn't feel like they've been making a big difference, and it feels like it's just gotten harder and harder to get any momentum going. In all honesty, we've had to do a lot more to get the same result or a little bit better result. So this leads back to the question, should you change your offer? I don't know. But that's how we've thought of this. This is kind of through these 3 stories and experiences, the way that I'm thinking about our offer and the direction we're going to go. So I'm curious, in the comments, should you change your offer? Let me know. If you like this video, hit like. And if you are new to this channel, please hit subscribe. Helps me out greatly. All right, have a good one. Bye.